Taeyun?
So I'm
Yeah, just a second. I think Yeonjun is preparing to share her screen with us.
yes. Okay. Is this okay? Is the screen okay?
Yes, we can see everything.
Okay, great. Okay, hello. So I'm Yeonjun from Unit 1, and our team project title is Urban Time Mapping. So the idea of the project initiated from the monotonous impression of the city nowadays. Our society system designs a city that is lacking in variety, and we're trying to visually energize the cityscape by using the historical features of the city as a tool. So we started from the idea of overlapping time and visualizing the time lapse as something, visualizing something that is metaphysical and conceptual. So these collages are just to investigate how photos of buildings in different timelines can be overlaid and create more intriguing images. So our project is trying to achieve a dynamic facade that is visually challenging the pedestrians with its narrative and also how it is directly interacting with them. Therefore, the facade is communicating with the past through data and itself is also interacting with the people by reacting to them. Hence, the mess works as a medium relating people to the past. So Mathematica is used to produce the image that we desire through machine learning, and the extracted numeric data will be applied for facade transforming. This is step 1 on the diagram, and step 2 is about making the interaction happen. So the data that we wanted and got and gathered was the pair for photographic data of buildings past and present. So we are building an autoencoder network that will train our pair photographic data of past and present buildings. So when we put one side data, we would get the other side as a result. So we will be using the momentary data that we got from the process between the past and present ones. The data will be composed of numeric matrices which are automatically extracted from domain transfer autoencoder. This extracted data will be used for facade transforming as parameters. We have investigated various functions in Mathematica in order to come out with inspiring images. We worked with the functions such as image with style. This function is about one image following the graphical style of the other image. We are mixing up the images of buildings past and present, and with the pattern we got up with one process, we're trying to make more intriguing image with mixing it again with the other photo of past or present picture of the building, and to present, and this is the image to be presented on the facade together with the transformation. These images will be the kind of images that will be put on the facade and ready to be interacted with pedestrians. Also, the tracking function has been started to be utilized for step 2. To make the facade interactive with the pedestrians, the instinct tracking of human gestures is necessary, so we are studying how we can work with Mathematica to make this possible. We worked with a video of dances using image feature tracking, which tracks the major gestures, and we worked out the coordinates of the gestures, and we could generate the linear tracking data, which is overlaid on the original video on the slide. And the tracking data is expressed as a point data. We have compressed the data because the amount of the point data was hard to handle. The plot images of the compressed data will be utilized for the expressing human activities suitable for it to be used for interaction features. So, in conclusion, we believe this proposal would lead us to rethink the meaning of history, especially within urban context, and suggest its identity accordingly. Thank you. Thank you.
Great. Would anybody like to comment or have questions, please?
What could be the final visual?
So we are looking at producing dynamic facades. So the facade that is transformed with the numeric data we extracted from the bottleneck, the process in between the past and present. And it's work. So there are three processes going on. So one is to produce image, this image that I'm showing at the moment, to be on the facade, and the facade, it has its own shape with that we look into the numeric data and be reflected on it, and on top of that, it is interacting with the pedestrians.
Well, I understand that sentence, but what kind of images or what kind of drawing or what kind of movies are you going to show for the final works? I'm just wondering. From here, just I can see the same testing images from in these pages, and also I can see your diagram about some people tracking, but I can't get any sense of your final product, at least single images. I'm just wondering, what kind of product are you going to produce for the final goals?
So at the end of the session, we'll be showing how these all studied data and studied functions will work together on a facade of a building, with the image and the interaction happening with the image, and the shape of the facade that we are reflecting the data, numeric data that we got from the process, the machine learning, the process of machine learning.
If I may interrupt, I think Jaewon has a fair point, because I also suggest you set up a very clear output as a set of goal, and whether this is a series of videos or series of a still facade. I think you are more into this movement and dynamic kind of contents, then maybe some kind of video output will be more sufficient, as I imagine. Maybe whether is it going to be a 2D video that you can in the future project to your facade like a media wall, or are you going to show this as a three-dimensional kind of images that is moving, but you can actually trigger maybe a very simple undulation of a mesh, underlining mesh, for example. I think given the time that you only have no more than 2 days, you want to set a very clear goal just to achieve that. And Jay's asking is, what is that?
Yes, so we are looking at the facade transforming, changing by input image, and for the final output, we are trying to come up to create a video, as you said, that's showing the thing that we produced working together.
Yunjun, so can you bring the slide back to the beginning of your premise where you are mixing? Yes, the one where you're showing the animation of the past to present. Next. I think it's slide 5, no 6.
Oh, yeah.
So I think the jury's question also stems from the fact that you guys mentioned in the beginning about mixing the past with the present, and then somehow ended up with those images where we get to see different patterns and different tiling or mirroring of images, let's say. And at that point, people are getting lost as to what would be the main parameters or the factors driving those kinds of alterations of the images. I don't know if that was made clear.
I think that in addition to Hitamu's comment, and this stage is very important in order to deliver what you are thinking. So I think what you are trying to do is merging between two images or overlapping two images. So you have to decide what kind of quality finally you want to show us. What is the mixture or what is the overlapping between past and present as your result. So you have to, maybe you did so many different, I guess, some tests from these generating images things from Mathematica. So you have to explain what kind of quality you've done in order to achieve what kind of image styles. Yeah, so and then you have to say that that image will present by movie or some 3D model, etc.
But yeah, but I'd like to say one thing. I mean, so what's the good for? I mean, what is the meaning for this?
So, as I explained in the earlier of this presentation, we wanted to bring back the identity. No, sorry, the identity of the building or the characteristic of the cityscape by bringing back the historic feature, but.
So what makes the identity of the building? I mean, which effect or which the specific figure? I mean, make people, you know, understanding about this kind of, you know, time transition between old and new, something like that. I mean, I'm a bit lost. It's quite interesting, but I mean, I try to imagine when you put the image onto the, you know, facade, and then how come, you know, understand that things, you know, how that image identify that old and new kind of, you know, feeling or historical event and etc. etc. I don't know. So is this more like a artwork or I mean, you guys really want to make some people understanding of history using your image kind of thing? So
so you're trying to give more dynamical kind of image to the buildings, and we are using
I mean,
the.
My question is, how can I analyze or how can I understand it, that the actual meaning of this process or meaning of this image? I mean, you have to digest in any way. I mean, so I'm questioning how you know, like understanding that kind of image. I mean,
can I explain?
yep.
Our main goal is to transform and change urban images, facade images of Seoul. You know, nowadays Seoul facade is so monotonous and they are very same. So we are trying to transform and make the Seoul facade very dynamic, and the ingredients is our work of this process, giving the bridge of past and nowadays. So the middle of the time, we make those mix of images. We use those images and make the facade more dynamic, and it just symbolize the history of Seoul.
So you guys are actually creating interactive facade, right? So that has
Yes.
got sort of the image from the past and the present.
Yes, using past
kind of system?
Yeah.
We are making many various images, and we're not sure, but we're gonna pick some images and put the images on facade and make them 3D models, and using our numerical data, we change the volumes or making media facade.
If I may jump in, so since I think the team members are struggling to come up with a straightforward answer, I think their intention with the project is not to create an explanation one-to-one of how this building has turned into what it is today from the past. It is more in the sense I think they're trying to illustrate and illustrate the dimensionality of time and introduce a new axis into the building facade. And that's what I think they're trying to convey by saying it's a symbolic meaning of the time existing within the buildings.
But then just one question is come up to my head, like, then why did you use a sampling? I mean, of course, maybe this could be like a first try, but yeah, I'm just wondering that why didn't you use the facade image? And yeah, I'm just wondering, because this is more like, for now, what I'm seeing is more like the street image rather than the facade. And then
Yeah,
like,
even there's a perspective.
yeah.
So it'll be confusing.
This is just an example, isn't it?
Yes.
I think they're gonna use the old the photo from the past, the photo
Yes, actually,
of the building itself, isn't it? That's how I understood.
Yeah, so that's actually my question as well. Like, are you going to use that one, or yeah, or just have a different idea from this? Just wondering.
We are still collecting many photos, so we are gonna pick the best images to make this. For example,
I don't think it is important to collect more imaging. I think more important here is the specific application of your image processing procedure into something physical, for instance, facade. So if you look at one of the old projects from Herzog and Demiron, so they basically took a picture of forest, and then they basically use that bitmap to create a random pattern on their facade, right? So that kind of specificity is, I think, what you did. So, for instance, you have a broad idea as to how you collect.
Yang-san, sorry, Yang-san.
Sorry. Is someone talking to me? I don't know. So yes, basically what I'm trying to say is that your idea is already there. It's not that important to gather more image to make your presentation richer. I would rather focus on the actual application of your idea into something physical.
I totally agree with that comment. Also, I completely appreciate all the jury's comments, but for me, I'm less interested in the conceptual meaning of your work. I'm more interested in for example, what I'm seeing here, as I don't see anywhere in your input parameter tells the style of the tiling at the end of this frame that it's giving you. And I think that's really interesting, and maybe it gives us like interesting ways of misusing this algorithm to create like interesting tile pattern, for example. I think that's super interesting. And I think I would love to like go even deeper to try out different inputs and different parameters to see if we can actually trigger this to create different patterns, misuse this algorithm and functions and create different outputs, and maybe as you're saying, maybe this can be applied to a facade or something more specific. It's totally up to you. But I think for this short workshop, the more important exercise is to really, whatever kind of conceptual scenarios you're making, I think this aspect is the most important part.
Can I get in?
Sure.
Yeah. What we want to try to show you is that transforming of the facade in 3D images, but we excluded the grasshopper part because we only just wanted to concentrate on the mathematical. What we got a lecture from the Professor Lee. So we try to use the mathematical firstly, and we are going to use the grasshopper and the rhino to making the 3D model using this kind of this images data set that we have already prepared. So we didn't prepare the 3D images yet. We are going to show you on 2 days later. And yep, to be more clear, to be specific on our an idea is that we want, as I said, firstly, we want to show you the transforming the facade volume exactly, and the images, the elevation of the facade as well. So the first step is about to mapping the mixed images on the facade skin. The second step is just transforming the volume of the building by numeric data extracted from autoencoder, trained by past and present image data sets. And finally, adding the distorted transforming by adding the factors of the human interaction as well. So we are going to show you the interactive facade transforming. So in the second part, at the first part and the second part, what we want to show you exactly on this first and second step is we wanted to make the randomized data by using the pair data set of present and past. So we mixed the images as well, and also we needed some numeric data matrix, the one-dimensional matrix as well. So we used the autoencoder to use the. Can you pass the slide a little bit to explain the autoencoder? Yes, this part. As you see on the left side and the right side of the picture, we prepared the past time the images and present time the images. They are all the part of the image data set is paired as well. So we trained both of them into the neural network. So we got the bottleneck data, especially the red square, the bottleneck part is what we wanted to take. The encoder and the decoder is the actual model for the computer science area, but we just wanted numeric data set, so we're gonna use the bottleneck data into the second part by use as a parameter to transform the facade. Finally, this kind of numeric data can be distorted by multiply some kinds of integers. So we wanted to use take some more integer data from the human interaction as well. So we, as a data input, we are going to use. We try to use the human human activity from the camera data. So. So finally, we want to show you the 3D transforming.
I think you guys are just a little bit way too ambitious in terms of the scale. So I mean, you know, if you can do exactly what you just mentioned in 2 days, then that would be great. But realistically, I think it might be much better if you can focus on a small, part of the city rather than trying to find the compare the old and new of the entire city image, as you can as in the other slide here. So for example, the gate, what's his name, Namdaemun, is it right? Or maybe it's Gyeongbokgung, right? So if you compare apple to apple comparison between old and new city pictures, then some part of the building has been disappeared because of they're way too old, or they need to add another building. So how can you compare those different time zone apple to apple? So if I were you, I would just focus on a single facade of a certain building that has that used to have historic features on its facade, and then now it looks something different, and then you kind of try to figure out 2D transformation matrix by comparing those two, and then that will give you some sort of transformation matrix, and that will naturally feed in to your facade system to create some dynamic facade or something. It's just my suggestion. You can completely ignore it if you don't like it, but
I think that's an
Thank you.
no.
Yes.
I think that's an excellent tip. But yeah, if I may add, I completely agree with him in the sense that if you want to do everything that you say you want to do in 2 days, I think that's a bit of a stretch. I think I've been trying to tell you guys that for a while now. So I mean, even if it's just a projection onto the facade as a wall, and you kind of illustrate that in a certain sense, even if it's a flat surface, but because the core of your project is this part and not the part where you have motors behind the facade, like pushing things around or so like that. Like, I think you want to focus on this part. And then, gradually when you have more time, you can work more on the kinetic part, or it could be deployed as images images categorized by matrices and so on, like Herzog and Demiron's work, school library. So yeah, I think for now, if you guys focus on the core, maybe that will bring more promising results at the end.
If I may
you.
give you a more like really straightforward ways of evaluating this, just try to make a image. It can be one image or one video, can be one diagram that you want to Instagram, and that actually can represent your project. Like now when I see through your slides, there are probably only page 6 is worth to Instagram a little bit, but like nothing is really like saying like without a word that like represents your project, like you need to just spend your 2 days of time to just really produce that thing. It's not easy. It's not easy, so you need to be really focusing. This is a suggestion for everybody though. Yeah.
Yeah, even for unit 3, yeah.
Can you leave it on slide 6, Yunjun?
Just a moment. Yes.
This is cool.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, assuming her first comment. I mean, if you made some kind of tiling system from this image transition, I mean, I don't know, it's a bit, it's a bit dialect, but anyway, you can produce some kind of, like actual physical stuff from past and now. I mean, this is kind of artist work anyway, but so this is kind of machine to generate some kind of you know, linkage between the past and now. So in that sense, it's quite interesting, but it's still a bit confusing. I mean, I don't know. What is actually meaning of this, you know, exercise on actual building? So very simple thing.
Yes,
I think
we'll
that's
make
the
it.
Unit 1 students need to sort of find out, because Dr. Juheng Lee is not architect or urban designer, but he's an artist. So he can produce an art, but what we are trying to do is it's slightly different from art. So I think from the same tool, what we need to do is you can hopefully find out or test or investigate how we can make use of this tool into urban design or the architecture design or facade design, or how we can interact with people while we are doing the design process. I don't know. So just don't forget that we are not just creating a image. It's okay that you created a nice image, that's part of it, but you should be able to explain how this image actually sit within the whole process of whatever that you want to do in your life, whether it's architecture or urban design. Yeah, that's it.
And also, I think compared to previous presentation, I think this presentation doesn't really show their tests as much as you can. I'm sure you did more tests with a machine, by machine, I think. Maybe you must do more, I think, but it's difficult to convince. It's difficult to understand or difficult to evaluate what kind of generated images is good for your proposal or not, for me. So I think you better to strategically show us what kind of test you've done very briefly, and then what kind of result you're like. And then you decide those image generating using for your final proposal. I think that's very important things, because you learned Mathematica and those neural network system, and by using this system, what kind of quality of image you want to produce, and you decide. That's very important things which I really want to see, because if in Unit 4 we are doing quite similar things what we are doing, and so it's quite nice to compare each other finally, I think. So in a way, I think you have to be focusing on those points of your presentation.
I think Jaewon got a really nice point. I think you guys, all of you guys, need somewhere else in the middle of the our team Sinchon and this team, I guess. Like we are trying to show too much, and then we didn't focus like the one like important result. And meantime, here, like I know that you've done tests a lot, but here I think this is your best image, but you're not showing any other researches. So you need somewhere else in the middle, actually.
Well, anyway, it looks cool, but I don't know.
It does, yeah.
I can use a various way, I mean, but I just want to hear about your opinion, so that's it. But yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. We will try to be crystal clear by the time we are presenting the final. Thank you.
Great.
Cool.
Thank you, guys.
So yeah, shall we move on to the Unit 3's Team LJ? And yeah, and same here. I'm going to share the screen because of the video problem. So there you go. Go ahead.
Yep. Good morning. Oh no, good
Yes, good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Good
evening.
She already got a 3 points.
Yep, this is Unit 3, Team B. And We are Yang-sun, Yuki, and Abude, and we are Team B from Unit 3. So our focus is about the hawker system. We can go to the next slide, please. Our focus issue is located in India, Lajpat Nagar, and we are looking at how the hawkers have always been like an integral and indispensable part of the city, and they are very easily transported and can be found everywhere on the street, and they provide a wide range of items at a lower price. So while the city has a high population densities, then it means that the moving hawkers have a high competition among each others. So our goal of the team is to analyze the system and to find the optimized location, which is a area for the clusters to sell for both the food hawkers and fashion hawkers. So it's a optimized area to make a sale, basically. Yep, can we go to the next slide? So a hawker, for those of you who doesn't really understand the term, it's like a Ms. Yaku in Korea. And we found that there are many similar like moving merchandise vendors across the globe. So there are same kind of hawkers, but yeah, they are selling different types of stuff. And next, we started analyzing the relationship on the site. The site is the green area that we tagged out. And we can go to the next slide. We looked at the local shop relationships, and then we mapped out all the different types of shops that is located in the area. Next. So to reach our goal, which is to find the optimized area for a sale, we will look at we will look at the distance between the hawkers, which will be stimulated to the change by changing the variable of the distractions. And this first stimulation will test how much distraction will be occur when two different types of hawkers repel. And this will be further explained in the later diagrams. And the second stimulation we will test about is the duration of the time that the hawker will stay in the target place. And this stimulation we will experiment with the variable of the speed. And this will test how long should the agent, which is the hawker, stay at the target point. Next, to explain our workflow, so we will point out the local shop in the first step, and these local shops will attract different types of hawkers, which is the agents, and therefore the result will come out that after the simulation, the result will come out that the hawkers the result will show that where the hawkers will most likely to take place to make a sale. And next, we have classified two different types of agents, which are the clothing hawkers and the street food hawkers. And next, we have analyzed their social relationships to each other. And basically, the food hawkers will most likely to attract fashion hawkers since they have lower competition among each other, and the food hawkers will repel the food hawkers because they are selling the same type of products. So they will most likely to repel in order to achieve a lower competition between the two. And next is this diagram explains the movement of the attractors that we will show in the simulation, and the attractors will move to another in random points in the set duration in simulation number 2. And next, this diagram is a more zoomed in view of what will happen. So this diagram shows that the distance relative to a same type of local shop, the hawker that are the same type, they are the hawkers that is the same type as the local shop will move away to each other, to the local shop, and the hawker that has a different type of product to the local shop will naturally move towards the local shop. And this is the relationship between the attractors and the agents. And I will pass the presentation to my teammates, Yang-sun, and she will talk about how our simulation brings out our result, which shows the cluster area where the hawkers will most likely take place to make a sale. Thank you. Yang-sun, are you there?
Yeah. Could you pass?
Yeah. Next slide, please.
Yeah. So first simulation that our team tried was food hawkers path. Agent is food hawkers and attractors are local food shop and neutral shops, and target is fashion hawkers. So we have 10 hawkers, which is blue points here, and they start the corner of blocks, and attractor is red points, which is point of local food shops will move to another location of the points of local food shops. So we changed agent distraction only, but data for speed and social distancing and gravity, range, and pulse duration are unchangeable. So following this simulation, distraction 130 is most suitable to make a cell. And next page. Because it's 130 distraction degree. So food hawkers avoid in front of local food shops, and they want to stay near fashion hawkers. We've got on 130 distraction. So try to change the agent speed. The next slide. Based on attractor speed 5.00, first started with 0.5 speed of food hawkers. If agent speed exceed more than 5, we will see the agent freely find the selling points. But it is hard to figure the proper path. We speed 1.04.
Yang-san, I think you are frozen. Hello?
Hello.
Ah, yeah, it's good now.
So next page. So we can see here their agent speed is 1.0 and their attractor speed also 1.0. So they are moved in front of the food shops, and we found that their stay food hawkers, like without 3 parts, the local food shops are popular. So until now, we've got like speed degree 1.0 with distraction 0.130. So I will pass my teammates.
Yeah, so for reality say, my goal was to find out the real life situation to simulate the actual scenario. So like as we discussed, like these making agents are talkers and they most likely go towards the big stores. So since it is a market, it has big stores and making talkers and the type of product which they're selling. So if a big shop has fashion product, then food hawker is mostly goes in front of it, and the similar way other way around. Also, like in this simulation, what we observed that since the agents have a starting and an ending point, so like in the simulation, all the 4 edges or all the 4 corners of the square have agents which are moved agents location and target diagonally. So what you see is the red dots which uh, are present on the left edge of the square, which are attractors, shops. They are not getting activated. So let's do the next one. And also like in these in the simulation, the shops have the moving attractor in a single line. So like so in this simulation, yeah, we change the different distraction values and the social distancing values basically. Go through the next. And also one thing which I changed in this simulation was the path which is followed by attractors. So the previous video has attractors in front of the shops moving in a single direction. They just move from left to right and then stop. But in the second simulation, they have a small circle in front of each shop so that the agent, so that the attractor keeps on moving at the same point. In this simulation, the agents are not only moving in diagonal direction, but they also have location and target in all the 3 directions. So like each corner has target and location for agents to move in all the 3 directions to get better results. And also the next. And then again, I changed social distancing values to see if I got a better result. Also, could you move to the next slide, please?
I think this is the last page that I have.
Okay, so maybe I want to share my screen. So this was until yesterday.
Okay.
That part is not in the presentation. So like after this, the simulations which we had, like the biggest issue which we had was like there was a fixed end and a starting point, which was creating movement issues for agents. But in this, we have random points for agents to start and to end. And also what we've done is pin dots, which you see on the screen, are the opposite typology of shop. So for example, the previous simulations had only one kind of fixed stores, but this has repeller points also in the script to simulate uh, the the phenomena, the natural phenomena which exists of repulsion between different kinds of hoppers. So I try to change the values. The second result would be like this. So the orange dots are the food hop. So for example, the agents which are moving are food hoppers. The orange dots which are moving in an ellipse are fashion hoppers, and the pink ones are fixed food stores. So as we explained in the previous diagrams, the agents or the moving hoppers, they try to go to the stores which have different functions than theirs. And they repel the points which have similar functions, which are the pink ones. As we see, like the hubs which are created are the most probable locations and most profitable for the agents or the hoppers to make a sale.
So therefore, by experimenting with like the above stimulations, we can find the area where the hawkers are most likely be clustered together to make a cell. And this is the end of our presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you know the teamwork wise and you know responsibility within the team, and then the way how you split your scope between three of you. I think this is the best project that I ever seen today. And then the first part of the presentation, I think, was really clear. And then I kind of thought that I understood what you're trying to say in the beginning. But you know, as you move on to the next step, the bigger scale, to be honest with you, I don't know what you're trying to say. And you know, even though you in the second part of the presentation, you kind of zoomed in to a small area, focusing on the local activity there, and then try to explain the relationship between hawkers and fashion hawkers and food hawkers, and then target. I think that's probably customers or something. But you know, and then once again, you zoomed out to capture the entire area of your site. But I, I'm not sure if this is just me, but I'm just a little bit confused as to what you're trying to say. Even though you summarize in the last part of the presentation that you find out the optimal location for the lots of different types of hackers. But you know, I cannot believe you with your conclusion and then where you came up with. But you know, it might be much better if you you know, explain it a little bit more logically, rather than just, you know, showing us lots of different types of animations. You know, if you continue doing that way, some of the jury members will fall asleep and then wake up and then ask the same question over and over again, which you probably don't want.
Yeah, I think it's really, really good simulation actually. I like the things you pick as a hawker have a constancy from the lectures from Yuse. I really like it, and then you got some similar kind of quality of the urban city elements, like Yogurt Lady, so which is good. And also the conceptual idea you pick is quite nice to show at the first time, so as first pages. So we all understand what kind of concept or what kind of parameter variable you want to use it. So which are really nice to enjoy with your own presentation. But and then one more thing is I want to just ask, and I just wondering how close you guys simulation is to real situation. I'm just wondering, you know. So I think if you have some idea of real focus movement from an area view or top view, and then show us in the comparison, the last pages of your simulation and real condition, this could be nice to see or nice to compare each other as a final result. I think.
Yeah, I agree all the comments, but I think there is a more fundamental issue here because I was in your meeting, was it yesterday, or like you improved definitely a lot. The presentation was clear and everything. The animation looks great. That's all good, but I think fundamentally the vendors are not moving like that. The vendors don't move every single hour. I don't know like what's the situation, but from my understanding, the vendors will stay there for a while. And I thought you are going to use the simulation to simulate their sales, and maybe some kind of accumulative vending sales data can be stored, and you can test which location is actually selling good or bad, and some of the positions can die out and they can actually find the better position and so on. So I think I have a huge doubt on the first relationship you set out by simulating the different hawkers to move around. But I think maybe it's too late.
Yeah, in the same sense, if I have to point out the one, I think it was a mistake, but you know, in your presentation, the first part, when you explain how the fashion hawkers they try to be away from each other, I think that's somehow the oversimplifying the situation. So the market where lots of different vendors with same you know products together just because to attract a lot of people, because people know if I go there I can see a wide range of the similar products at this in the same place. That's the concept of the market. So could you explain what were you based on when you say that the hawkers try to be away from each other?
We have considered this point too, but since that we are having two different agents, and these two different agents are selling many different types of products, so we decided to narrow it down so that we in this scenario we assume that these agents are selling the same products.
Just to add to what Yuki said, I think Vijay is right that there was, but we have considered that point. Like there are two kinds of sellers. ones who can move and ones who stay fixed. And also the relationship which we started was like if the like obviously like the fixed sellers do not have any choice. The sellers who can move are of two types, which is fashion and food. So amongst themselves, amongst movable sellers, they try to have different products together. Like for example, a movable seller who is selling food and a movable seller who is selling fashion or clothes will try to stick together, but at the same time try to avoid uh, the, uh, the fixed sellers who are selling the same product. So, for example, a food movable seller will not go close to fixed food seller, and similarly, a movable fashion seller will not go close to fixed fashion seller. But in between, amongst the movable sellers, they try to mix and match and create a good place to sell products. So I think this was a part of our presentation, and maybe if Yuki or Nirvana can go back to that slide, I can explain that again. And also, like to the question of, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So and also to the question of the real life comparison, like how close the simulation is. So like in reality, there are two kinds of moving sellers, but in a simulation, there is only one. So probably that is the problem which we need to solve and figure out by the next presentation, and we go there. And also like the script is like the script already has agents starting point and the end point, and what we are trying to figure out is the, the target point. So our concept wants to find the target point instead of telling the agent to go at a certain place. And in order to simulate that, we use random points. And probably this was just one diagram. Some of the blue diagrams and overlap them, then probably we can say that this would give us better results and make us say that logically that these are the areas which will make a better set. I'm sorry for the background noise.
Is someone trying to kick in?
Police are here.
I just have a simple question that is, so is the hawker is still moving and finally they find some place where they settle the last stage, or this is the process of the figuring out the place where the optimization could happen? Which way is the right understanding of this project?
I think our concept was to find the location which would be more suitable to the next cell.
Sorry?
I think you guys, you have to answer.
I think.
I'm sorry for the noise. I just thought because of the noise. Yeah. So as I was saying that what we're trying to do conceptually was to find the location, but the simulation shows the trajectory. And what we're trying to do is get such multiple results and then overlap them to find the most probable place and the most optimized. So I think it has shifted towards optimization rather than finding the location.
So it's more likely the second things, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's a process to find and optimize area.
So I think that the reason why I asked like this the question is that I agree with the what the Sumin said before. That is, it's so I think in this case it is better to use just the circle packing or something like the algorithm. So this the agent system is it's better to use this the agent system when you wanna simulate some the moving agent and relationship between like is the agents or other things. So I think it's better to include some of the moving factors as something.
For example, like customers.
Yes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I don't want to support them anymore. I don't want to support them, but actually, as my understanding from the workshop, and they learned about the understanding of those algorithm things from the Uja's lecture, and they understand the concept, and they got some initial conceptual idea from the focus working, focus operating. So in a way, I think that's good kind of simulation work side, although they missed some part of it, I think. So we better to understand, we better to make us our argument into the how we can use those kind of simulation things for our, I think, I don't know, but urban analysis or our some other analysis was our professional works, I think. You know, some if they have more time, they got some little bit more at certain aspect they can achieve. But they don't really miss it because I don't know, but it takes either time or they need to understand, they need to digest some concepts. So in a way, I think those package or simulation is working. I think I don't know. I can say it's perfect, right? Because of course hookers work very differently over time in India, right? So different types of hookers we can see maybe tomorrow, different things. So in a way, it's difficult to say, but of course they missed some part. But we have to look at all those kind of simulation is working, how works with, how closely working well or not. So maybe, so in a way, I wanna see the real condition, and then I wanna compare between that simulation and real condition, and we can maybe that will open another conversation in the future, I think.
I'm not really sure whether we are trying to simulate the real condition, because I know there are lots of like the tendencies or the behaviors of the hawkers and the people, etc., etc. And then I think this team has started from a sort of a simple tendency that the mobile hawkers are attracted by the fixed vendors. And I think I do agree with the Dongyun that they probably have to add more elements like the customers. While the customers are moving around, the hawkers are also attracted by the customers. So it will probably make more dynamic results. But it's because I'm not quite sure that whether this is the aim of this simulation, that we are trying to make the sort of the simulation that shows the real movement of all the elements. Maybe if their aim is to find the optimized location of the cluster of the hawkers, maybe they have to eliminate some facts like the hawkers are staying for a certain time, and then I don't know, things like, because there are like so many different factors they have to consider, but maybe out of like 5 they have to probably consider 2 or 3 to focus on what they're trying to find. I don't know, I might be wrong, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, maybe what can be helpful is to set up the evaluation criteria for the optimization. So very basically, what's the sales value for each hawkers, for example, and that has to be kind of revealed or being able to evaluate it. Otherwise, we don't know what it means by the optimized or best position.
Agree.
Yeah, and maybe that is coming from some hypothesis from the local market, some situation. You can kind of set up certain hypotheses saying if this is like away from like surrounding vendors for more than 5 hours, they will increase sales, for example. There should be certain hypotheses that reflect to the value of the sales. And then maybe then they will always have different location as result. And that could be quite interesting.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. So I think you guys can set another property in your agent class, which is called like sales counter or something. So when another agent or another target approaches around you within a certain radius or something, then the count increased by 1. And then at the end of the process, you can basically extract all those numbers and then create another visual presentation to explain why this layout is better than it was before. Something like that.
That's a good idea as well.
So evaluation criteria. I think that's what the first team needs as well. Yeah, from Unit 3. Okay.
I have a question. Is there really like a number for the criteria? I don't really think there will be one.
I mean, that's totally up to you. I
Like,
can't really
I
answer the
mean, in
question.
like real life.
Yeah.
I mean,
What
in
do you
real
mean,
life, I
Yuki?
think,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, in real life, you know, it is really important to have the exposure to the customers. I think that's for sure. And then in real life, you obviously have, you know, additional factors that may or may not are visible or countable. But like we said, you know, it is not you know, reflection of the reality, or I would like to put it in this way. So this is sort of like, you know, simplified system of the real life, and then you basically call unnecessary factors from your system, so you can just focus on what you believe is important. Does that answer your question?
But maybe if I help a little bit. So for example, even if customer comes, if the product is not good, they will not buy, of course. Yeah, there were a lot of factors, but if they have more exposure, that does mean that they will have more chance to increase their sales. So
yeah.
we are just simplifying the system and certain factors that you can simulate, because simulation, it's, if you want to simulate the real world, it's so complex. You cannot do that with this setup, but you can kind of extract certain system that you can directly relate, such as the sales and the contact number with like customers, for example, isn't it?
Yes.
That it's sensible and it's understandable in general, then it's a meaningful simulation.
Okay, I got it.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, I think those comments were super clear, so I have nothing to add, really. Super clear.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much.
I have one. I don't know. I think it's totally agree with the simulation things. So you have to do that actually for this workshop. But I don't know. Still one question still in my mind actually. Do we have to evaluate in the social conditions? You know, although do we have to evaluate for certain?
Sorry, Jay. I think you're frozen. Can you repeat that question again?
Do we have to evaluate all the time for social conditions? So
No,
Yeah.
we are not.
So I don't know, but it's just question. I don't know. Just in my mind, or now thinking about it. And I think we are using algorithm as a logic. So because of that, I think we are trying to see that, evaluate or some kind of final, I don't know, final some kind of value, As long as
We are not evaluating. We are not trying to evaluate the social condition. I think what we are trying to ask this team was because their goal was to find the optimized location for the hawkers. So when they say optimize, they need some sort of the standard that they can judge, isn't it? That's how I understood. Yeah. So because the hawkers are selling system vendor, they have to sell something more to people. That means they have to be exposed more to the customer. So while they're moving around the street, maybe if they are exposed to more customers, that means if they count something, maybe that's how I understood the evaluation.
Okay.
From my understanding.
We can talk a bit later. Okay.
Yeah, I think the older jurors got a point. I mean, because personally, I think like like I said, anyway, since the algorithm, since the simulation we have is kind of hypothetically, we've just played it. So of course, it's very different from the real world. But however, I think like the other jurors said, we need to take a bit more like real data. And I think in here, like more important thing is which data, and then or the which real social figures we need to take, and then we need to take, and then it's going to simulate. I think that's more important. So selection is, I think, in this case more important, I guess.
Maybe a bit of reflect on Jay's. Sorry for this longer talk. So let me short. Like I think maybe there must be some like really interesting ways of interacting from the vendors in India to the customer, or maybe there is a very special kind of social relationship that is only happening in the local area. Maybe that triggers certain sales or activities that is like and can be an additional kind of unexpected factor that when we are setting up this kind of agent-based system. I don't know what that could be, but something that
sound. That's what Abhyuday said. They are making noise to attract customers. So the louder the sound is, their territory is bigger. That's what he said. Isn't it, Abhyuday?
And we were also, like I was saying, that you can actually have also speakers that enriches the boundary as well. Well, yeah.
I think the optimization is impossible in the area, actually, and in the real life. Whoever taking, I don't know, it's difficult to go into those level, but once you are really want optimization, optimize to some kind of certain focus boundary or something, it's really difficult to say. Even if it's really difficult to evaluate that optimization.
Yeah, I also think maybe optimization is a dangerous word. Maybe it should be something more like something more like less dangerous than optimization. Like yeah.
In this project, I think they need to, drive the project. It's much more about reveal the real condition. What, for instance, they put a hypothesis. They got some parameter, they got variable, how they draw real condition initially. by their term, and then they draw it, they make it out of some algorithmic thinking. So that's my understanding. But once they want to do optimization, it could be different levels or different quality of the program. Yeah, so it has to be clear what they want to do actually. So you have to decide, you guys need to decide what you are doing to teach out of your truth. Right? So yeah, that's the point, I think. And actually that's the point of this workshop, I think, as well. So we are dealing with all of the and the goal of social algorithms is a little bit different in a way. Right? Of course, we are trying to make architectural or urban form anyway, finally, but algorithmic thinking and what we are doing is a little bit gap in that I think stage. So I want to both those conversation for this project, with this project. Right. So maybe you want to...
Interesting. Well, yeah. Whichever way the students decided to go, I think whether to see how the Hocker systems are behaving, how the whole market is behaving, or to find the sort of not optimize. What's the word? Sort of to find the best-selling spot of the market, whatever. I think that's probably what you need to decide, and I think it doesn't really matter because it's just fix the goal and then just try to simulate as much as possible. Because however they do, however you do, I think we'll keep criticizing anyway because that's how the architects are supposed to do. Because it's never perfect, and this is experimental workshop, and as Jay said, it's impossible to simulate the real life, real society. Yeah.
Every day just suggest the suitable rather than optimization.
Suitable.
Enough, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Cool. So, I mean, if there is no more comments or the question, I think we can wrap this team.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah.
Well
Thank
done.
you, all the tutors coming.
Yeah. So I mean, I see a lot of like possibilities and potential of the whole project, I guess. So I can guess like we can have a really great presentation on Friday.
Yeah, it was already a very interesting discussion. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you for the all comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the hard work.
Okay. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Yeah, and then unit 3, I think, shall we have another meeting?
Really?
Another meeting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like a feedback a bit.
Yeah, okay.
Crazy.
Just wrapping up
No.
meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like very quick.
Yeah.
So let's
In the unit
our
room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.